Hi, I'm Will Hansen with Cantology. In this video, we're going to take a look at stance problems on snow. This video is a follow-up to our Canting 101 video, so if you don't know quite what I mean by stance problems, pause this video here and then go check that one out. Let's get on up to the mountain. It's late June and we're here on Mount Hood skiing the Palmer Snowfield. We're here to show you how uncorrected stance problems can impact your skiing. First, let me introduce Sean Ville. Sean's my partner in Cantology, and Sean's the guinea pig today. Stance is an interesting thing with skiing in that stance corrections work in reverse. That is, if you take someone who has a flat or a neutral stance like Sean and you have them ski on skis that have been canted, you simulate the effect of a stance problem. In other words, if you put the fat side of the cant on the inside, slightly more of the skier's weight is shifted to their inside edges. It has essentially the same effect on their skis as if the skier had an uncorrected inside stance. And the opposite is true. Putting the fat side of the cant on the outside causes the skis to behave as if the skier had an outside stance. So here's our plan. We're going to quickly look at Sean's normal skiing, and then we're going to go cant his skis and see what happens. We'll do 3 runs, one with him skiing normally, one with an inside stance, and the third with an outside stance. We'll give Sean a couple hundred yards to get used to each situation. We'll video Sean skiing the same section of the slope and watch in slow motion. If you recognize symptoms in your own skiing in these experiments, ways in which Sean's skis behave, or maybe in how Sean adapts, go see a qualified boot fitter and have your stance checked. The snow surface today is inconsistent. It's patches of hard and soft corn, and it's warming up pretty fast, and it gets a little grabby. But all in all, it's pretty darn nice given it's almost July. First, here's that quick look at Sean's normal skiing. Keep an eye on his skis, his legs, and what his upper body's doing. The camera I'm holding automatically tracks Sean as he skis. At full speed, I know all this motion can be uncomfortable for some people. No worries, we'll spend most of our time in slow motion. So here we go. This will be our baseline for watching him. Just to make a note, Sean starts most turns with a big weight transfer, stepping from the inside edge of his downhill ski onto the uphill ski, which will be the outside ski in the new turn. You can see he actually lifts the tail, and we can see its shadow. We can use this to know exactly when Sean initiates a new turn, and it also tells us that he feels solid and in balance at that moment. In the fall line, Sean's legs are parallel and his skis are about a ski width apart, which is Sean's normal. He angulates to the inside and his upper body is facing directly downhill. Both skis are working together to make the turn happen. Late in the turn, we see he finishes onto the uphill edges of both skis. His skis are comfortably apart and parallel and his body's in balance. Okay, we've canted Sean's skis and he's putting them on with the fat side of the cants to the inside. We're about to see what the skis do when his weight is biased to the inside. Sean will naturally try to mitigate this situation, but his attempts will be pretty crude emergency measures and not the refined compensating moves of someone who has learned to ski with an inside stance. This condition is new to him and he'll be just trying to survive. If you have a natural stance problem, you've found ways to compensate, and they may be pretty subtle. And I need to make one point here. We make cants, but stance isn't just about cants. In fact, cants are the adjustment of last resort. They're just one tool in the boot fitter's toolkit. The situation we're simulating may be correctable by footbeds or boot cuff adjustment or cants, but more likely some combination. Finally, don't try this at home. We're forcing Sean to have a difficult time skiing, and that's inherently dangerous. As we watch at full speed, it's hard to pick up on what's going on, but see if you can see what he's dealing with. Now let's watch those same turns in slow motion. Here's his initiation point, and we see the shadow under his downhill ski. All looks pretty normal. But as the turn gets going, the too strong inside edge of his outside ski causes the ski to start carving a wider arc than Sean had in mind. With the inside weight bias, the ski is taking over. Sean's inside ski is on a much shorter radius, staying with Sean's original flight plan. So it's decision time for Sean, and he commits to the outside ski. As the turn progresses, Sean actually picks up his inside ski to ride the longer radius carved by the outside ski. Remember, inside stance means that his inside ski is tipped too much to the inside, so the uphill edge of his inside ski is a weak edge. It doesn't want to carve as much as he expects it to. In fact, if he puts weight on it, it will want to come down next to or across his other ski, so he takes it out of play by picking it up. Now as he completes this left turn, notice his left inside hand, it's low and back, telling us that Sean has turned further off the fall line than normal. His outside ski is engaged more than normal, so his turns last a little longer than normal. On each turn, it takes him just an instant longer to disengage his edge and set up for his next turn. At this point, we can see a lot of air between his knees. I think this is because he's getting used to this and moving his uphill knee way uphill to get the uphill ski onto its uphill edge. As we watch the rest of these turns, we can see that he's often putting almost all his weight on his downhill ski. As a result, you can see his downhill leg wobble as he tries to control that one edge through the inconsistencies in the snow surface. So what did we notice? By the end of that run, Sean started to keep his knees a bit wide to help maintain balance and to get the inside ski onto its uphill edge. Sean's comment after this run was that he felt like the passenger, not the pilot. The skis were in control and he was doing everything he could to wrangle them. He said he felt very uncomfortable, constantly on the edge of disaster. So okay, we're now on to the next experiment. Sean has traded his left for his right, so the fat side of the cants are now to the outside. We're now causing too much of Sean's weight to tend towards his outside edges. So what can we expect to see? On that last run, he had massive inside edges. The skis were rails. Now he will have weak inside edges. So we should expect to see his tails wash out and maybe his inside ski will try to complete the turn too early. Exactly the opposite of what we just watched. Okay, here we go. See what you can see. Now back to slow motion. As we watch him start out, he's kind of slip sliding around because he has no inside edges. And here's his normal initiation. So he must be feeling pretty comfortable. In the fall line, he's looking pretty normal. But now in the final moments of the turn, we can see the tail of the downhill ski start to wash out. And it just continues to slip until he gets his skis back under him in the traverse. Let's watch for a second. The pattern happens over and over. Okay, this moment is just so typical of outside stance. We can clearly see the downhill tail washed way out, and meanwhile, you can see by the track in the snow how the uphill ski is carved to shortcut the turn. Sean's left hand is low and behind his hip, indicating he's overturning off the fall line due to that downhill ski washout. I froze it here as this was an attempt at a normal initiation, but his downhill ski was such a weak platform that it just stemmed out when he went to step onto that uphill ski. These artificial problems are not quite the same as watching a skier who comes by their stance problem naturally, but we hope you found it interesting. One surprising point is that we canted Sean's skis so the fat side of the wedge elevated that side of his body about 2.5 millimeters. That tiny amount is all it took to completely mess up Sean's skiing. Stance is critically important for a skier. If you recognize any ski behaviors or body movement patterns that you may be experiencing in your own skiing, go get your stance looked at by a good boot fitter. And thanks for watching.